letter I had the chief of staff at the Babon thing say omo asake individual asa omunya omo appointment letter after December 7th. Me assure say what's in the media space there has been a number of discussions, the good side, the bad side, obi a candidate, and depending on where one stands across the political divide, very often and they inform me the personal perspective on the matter. But I don't know why problems in this country turn out to be cyclical. Something that happens about 8 years ago is repeating itself today, and the citizenry still regard those things as a problem. So it means we are not very proactive in dealing with matters of this nature, and I'm not explaining why our developmental journey are taking a downward trend, because we are not focused on our progress. We don't address issues. We just walk over it. Issues are very critical, very crucial, and underpinning your progress. Very often, you expect to say you find a lasting solution to some of these problems and address them once and for all. No? We are just shifting goalposts depending on who is in power and who is in opposition. Then we drill around the issues. We wait. We don't resolve them. So, Bakaya. Abraja Chikwesin issue by about citizenship, allegiance, those kind of stuff. Member of parliament going to parliament. Say Obi Fale say our parliament where exactly does his parliamentary journey a beginning from? Is it when the person akofa form wafele? Is it when nipanako vetting ye na wie? Is it when yakotfo abamano? Is it abra yaswe in amanabaye MP? Where exactly does that particular journey to become a parliamentary candidate, MP, where exactly and they started? These are blur lines in our constitution. So very often we give judges a lot of discretionary powers, because once there are ambiguity on any clause our constitution, then judges have discretionary powers to decide if I know the and you can't begrudge them. And unfortunately, in our part of the world where judges, some have proven to be so corrupt, so immoral, and with zero integrity, and also very partisan, very often we end up in the same pool of confusion, because depending on where the person allegiance are tilted towards power, but my culture say, if we are really a serious country and you're looking up for our progress, issues like this, there should be clarity. We do constitutional review and give your friends saying clarity to some of these clauses and make it quite clear. Say, Obi call parliament a hana journey no started free, and it's a would now so and as I already now so citizenship somewhere until this particular point. Say Oba fale yabakwa to aba. Nasa at that point, what breached the law. And again, citizenship, allegiance, for me, they are two different things altogether. Dual citizenship, whether the person is eligible to go to parliament, or these are provisions in our constitution that we need to critically look at them very well. Now, you say, are we going to allow Ghanaians who are dual citizens? Because allegiance can never be equated to citizenship in any way. They are two different things altogether. But Anam said some judge sat down and deliberated on this particular matter, and in his judgment equated allegiance to citizenship. Because once we are American, now we are Ghanaian, according to that particular interpretation, they say you owe allegiance to two countries, but allegiance, citizenship are two separate things altogether. Yes, we can decide, for you to hold any sensitive position in Ghana, you must be a Ghanaian citizen, and we can disengage this allegiance then. Because I will hear Nema Kosu Okroma. Actually, Nyansa say allegiance is a very vague thing, because Akufo-Addo was president. If you look at some of the silly decisions that he took, and many decisions that his Nimkro for yeah, even though they were Ghanaians. But you say the allegiance was it to the people of this country? So allegiance is a grey kind of something that we need to exploit further. Na yen chilem say obi ba ya Ghana ni so na they don't own allegiance to this country. Because Sansem Huna also in the last 80 years, you can't convince me that these people own any allegiance to this country, even though they own Ghanaian passport. So these are some of the things, yes, you're serious as people. Now you're shame, now you're driver, now you're straightening the conversation. Because at the end of the day, the whole essence of doing all that we are doing, whether the person is a Ghanaian, whatever, is to ensure, say, we push ourselves to the next level. Fortunately, there are Ghanaians who have had the benefit of foreign education, and some have gotten some exposure. Different. For some reasons, they may be citizens or whatever. How do we tap into this exposure, this vast knowledge as some people have acquired? Now, yen translated that particular thing into a developmental once the person is a Ghanaian, we benefit. These are some of the things. If you go to America, the black race are more imported or more all over into Africa. No, even though the more treatment and other stuff that they subjected them to, look at them. Many of your friends are celebrities in America. Majority of them are all blacks. What can I say? They were near Kohon. Tiger Woods from your friends saying. Michael Jordan, Ben Johnson, Serena Williams, all the people are in America want to go to the music arena now. These are people they've been able to highlighted their potential because of the environment they find themselves, and one way or the other made a significant contribution to Omayomowom. And the other Ghanaians elsewhere are similar exposure, similar knowledge, So Omayno make a deliberate effort to tap into whatever that they have. Because becoming parliamentarian alone is not an issue. So some of these clauses, some of these emra where your constitution it looks so vague. Now a lack of clarity, we must begin to look at them very well. Because at the end of the day, the priority, so far as we are concerned, is our progress and our development. And I'm not sure nothing should stand in the way. So with this particular thing, I think some mistakes we are talking. Don't forget the subject matter for under discussion here. This Yasaki Omo. I have listened to a lot of conversation from those on the MPP side. They are making moral argument. Their argument is that these people are Ghanaians and they almost Ghana for they deserve to be employed. And the identities are buying a sake. You see, when when you make such moral argument, it will fall flat, especially when OSARFO-MARFO video or address a parliamentary select committee telling them point blank. So any appointment be that John Mahama buying after December 7th biano payroll no cannot accommodate them, and truly a vast majority of people were sacked. And the way you way na aban biba na so no so say or go through the same way na you cannot wage any moral argument. That is why you cannot wage any moral argument, because that's exactly the same thing that the government then did. The government of the day can decide to take a different, a different approach. But when yet na say okasa okọ the same line, you cannot make any moral argument. And as if say, there will be a Ghana for one, because omo oba ya opamo omo no mo nye Togo for, no mo nye Chinese, and omo free Bangladesh. There were Ghanaians na omo ye adwuma, and you decided to pull them. Entin ene obidi ebi diwa. You have limited way to be able to say, oh, bejina ha ba ka say ya na say. And I think that is the point that we need to look at going forward. NTN That is the argument.
When you are taking over, let's say, Minister of Finance, I mean, you need to be factual. You need to be numerical. You need to be time conscious. If you owe, it's time related and that kind of thing. We have heard from the grapevine a few things which have become our concern, talking about the incoming government team, the transition team. For instance, we have heard about ongoing recruitment into the security services now, which we hope is not true. We've heard of conversion of temporary staff, of political assistants, and some of the staff we took on into permanent public servants. We've heard of award of new contracts after the election results are announced on the 9th of December. We've heard of procurement of sales and national assets also after the results. We do not want to believe that these allegations are true. I personally, I don't. And therefore, I'm asking my colleague, the Chief of Staff, that after the election and the results have been declared, and the change is not from the government handing over to itself. There are two modes of transition. One transition is the government handing over to itself, as it happened to us in 2004 and happened to NDC in 2012. But in 2000 and 2016, the government handing over to another political party's government. The system is a little different. We need to be cautious, we need to be transparent, we need to be candid, and we need to be factual. We are therefore appealing to our colleagues that within this period, if there's anything that needs to be done, consultation have to be brought on board. Consultation meaning that the office of the president-elect is there, and if there's a need for an agreement to be concluded, it is only fair, and it's international convention that you bring in the in-waiting government, discuss, and get a green light to carry it out. We hope our colleagues from the current government would take note of these normal conventions and do a lot of consultation on these matters so that we have a very smooth and transparent takeover. Thank you very much. And on behalf of my colleagues, I can assure the Chief of Staff and his team that we are going to cooperate as much as possible. We have gone past Halubalu. I mean, now Ghana must be in a special group of countries in Africa when we talk about democracy. So let us end on a very good note when we finally part companies. We don't have all the call it handing over notes. Some are ready today, as he mentioned. We take over those, and then by Monday the rest will be ready. We also take over those. But it means that work will start today because we have enough. Once you have finance, you have this, there's more than you can do. So that we will start the work today and then continue as the others come in. Say thank you to everybody, Mr. Chief of Staff, and let's have a very smooth and transparent transition. Thank you.
Mr. Kanesa, what has happened? This back and forth, I'm expecting, say you go into elections, transition period, near period, among for the dinsem, who are Sabinian signing a croma say. And way obianim so during transition period and I talk about we now buying who's our lose elections are. That is where they begin to take a lot of foolish decisions about buying our and we've seen series of appointments in your friend say changes in Nasafwa Ecoso. We've seen all these things over the years. So why can't we come out with a legal framework that will regulate that particular period? Say kotua ba to until the new government takes over, no, they cannot be employment. And no, there are legal documents that a protected abana urbano, now a protected the interest of the people who be pushed in. Because sometimes it might be unfair. I remember when President Kufuor became president, all corner and a single spine salary structure or push it to males. At the time it was very difficult to pay. But now males also any way because okotwam pe ombekasa Kufuor there the buy you and I wanna waba betwam but Kufuor didn't pay a dime. And no push good mails or so, and no jan hokoye. And we've seen such exchange going forward. So as our mind said, the best solution I say, let us come out with a proper legislation on employment during that period. Say, to about from 7th December to 7th of January, a binding be take over no. That particular space of 1 month, and Ghana can survive without any employment, so that we will save ourselves from all these your friends say unnecessary. I wonder why the sense to address some of these petty things. And very often we become so emotional talking about all these things, and the people who are peddling and fastening this argument, will portray and make it look like say they are angels. They think about Ghanaians, but these same people sacked Ghanaians. Over thousands of people were sacked. At that time, no, you didn't wage this moral argument. And I catch say, "Oh yeah, they are not what who said they would do and then Ochana everybody." And Bonene sabi Sama Akufo-Addo aban aye no kroma in the last 8 years away. Say John Mahama kase or ye the same thing. I'm not sure, say. Omumu biya betimi atena krom ha. But da bia meka Mahama is a different person altogether. You will not expect to say the nonsense that Akufo-Addo did, he cannot do those things. He cannot. That is his nature. He cannot do those things. Because en katsa extent no so decide so obekwa. I'm telling you say Ghana nkwanenim. Because ebeye this back and forth for sa na e wie. And that is the sad aspect of it. So, going forward, I'm expecting that government will come up with a legal framework, a legal document, a legislation about regulating that particular period. So, say a new government will be sworn in that period, any period that the employment, they taking major decisions. In other places, it works that way because the constitutional framework is not taught to say people who become president will be wise enough that they will not be taking such silly decisions. By Hano, you can't guarantee. Even the paya to Obama taking grassy decisions. So we need to look at the constitution and use laws to regulate and guard some of these things so that some of these things will be guaranteed. Say Abino or Bebano will not have the luxury to be making foolish decisions and foolish appointments. Because if we don't do and we continue on this same trajectory, trust me, things will be worse off and we cannot continue. Because in some no more complaining and you and I know that 2016 OSARFO-MARFO nanu for no so bekaya he was bold enough. I think not being say when you be and you did ba. Opama manfo mo kwotena afie no sesa na ma mo wabo abochi no so mo do magana say adwuma ba momra e no be sesa na ma where there was no deputy position cry he deliberately created these positions and slotted in his kit. That is the obvious reality confronted with in this country. And now these same people have the infantry to get out there to tell people say yes sake Ghana for no mo so mo ye Ghana for omo sake omo no mo ye Burkina base. The people you sack were Burkina base or they were Chinese. I think you guys should get serious and give us a break. Me say your essence and very relevance in the current Ghanaian political dispensation is gone. You need to work your ass up to regain that confidence and trust. Because the version of the MPP that we witnessed in the last 8 years was a criminal version. And Ghanaians, are not ready to buy this moral bullshit that you guys are there preaching. Because you people fool until the last day you left power. And the Bible say you are out there crying wolf. It hurts that some of these things, but sometimes at the heart of some of these things was a deliberate orchestration just to ensure say they destabilize the new government until where appointment must not be done. But for me, Obi a yema na juma bi a Ghana ni. That is the most important thing. And what I want to see is that we will not go into an era. This same conversation will be on the table. There should be a legal framework, a legislation about regulating that particular period so far as appointment, recruitment, whatever is concerned.
Yeah, so beware of the Judas and Jezebels. Rasta man, me full of loving, but the world believing in we don't trust again. Everybody's frightened, nobody want love again. But it is very clear that we must love again. We must love again. But beware, them officially goes with the narrow. That I beg, I don't want no vampires in my circle. Hey, so beware.